And here we are.
Here we are. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
I'm Jenny.
I'm Paul.
And we are GoBox Art Crate.
And I have filthy, dirty glasses.
As usual.
Yeah.
So welcome to our channel. If this is your first time here, I do want to welcome Tim and Erin Wagner. I saw you guys signed up. And Tim and Erin are longtime studio fans. They had been coming to us for years and years when we had our studios in Portland and Tigard. And in fact, they even had an anniversary party there with a food truck and everything. It was really fun. So welcome aboard, guys. Glad to see you on here. And it was nice to see you recently for the art classes we did at the Sherwood Center for the Arts.
Yeah, that was good to see you guys.
Yeah. So it feels like forever since we've done a live stream. I don't know why. I just thought of that earlier.
You know, I was feeling the same way, and I think I know
Hi,
what it
Marlene
is.
and Joanna.
I think I know what it is.
Okay.
It's
Do tell.
because we've been doing 3 months of paintings at once. And so
Okay.
normally we are creating
Hi, Tim.
normally we're creating new paintings
And Erin, I'm sure.
in between.
Uh-huh.
So we'll do a live stream, do our 2 live streams, then Jenny and I do our new paintings for the next month, and then we do our live streams for those. Since
No, Joanna says January lasted 6 months.
yeah, well, there's
really did.
partly that, but I feel like part of it, like what you and I are feeling, is because we've had nothing else since our last stream to do.
Well,
So we're disconnected. It's we're just totally out there.
all right. Well, let's go ahead and zoom in on what we're doing. You
Let's
can
do it.
use your fun
Here I
fade.
got a new fade for you guys this week. Ready? Check it out. Whoop.
So tonight we're painting the snow lantern, and I designed this one in honor of Lunar New Year.
Yay.
I can't remember if I always have lots of different ideas, and then it comes down to one. And this was the winner of all of them.
This was it.
Years ago, we had a Van Gogh painting that was similar to this, and it was called Winter Solstice. But it had a lantern, same color, same exact color palette, just about. No flowers, but it had the bamboo and the lantern and the snow. But it had a different sort of lantern. So it was kind of fun to bring that painting back. I always loved that painting. And I am getting over a cold that my daughter and I both
Wretched
had.
illness.
So if I sound different, that's why. And if I have to get up and run and sneeze or cough.
If you
I will-
guys
fair
hear
warning.
a sea lion, no, we're not down at the coast. It is just Jenny.
Oh, guess who's still awake? Hi, Susan.
Welcome aboard.
I really also, Joanna, love how this one looks. So we are going to go through it. Now, those of you who got the last kit, which, as you know, that's our last box that we're sending out, just because of, for those of you who are new, we're not doing the subscription box products anymore, just
Right.
because we had a lot of trouble keeping people on, and then you run out of wholesale discounts when you have less to order. So
It got to this point where it's like, well, we can't feel good about selling people art supplies for more than they can buy.
yeah, exactly. So we don't do that anyway.
we don't do that. We're
But
not.
those of you, these are available on our website. Can anyone access these, Paul, or do they have to have any kind of special?
What's that? The instruction
Yeah.
sheets? We don't have it set up that way right now, but you know what? Why not?
Yeah, we can set it up so everybody can access, because we're not going to be doing these anymore anyway. It's just going to be the video.
Yeah.
But if you have this, you can go through it with me. I will deviate a little bit with it being live and drying times and all that, but it should follow it pretty closely to the letter. If you want to change anything up about this painting, adjust colors, please feel free to go ahead and do that anytime. And I will put this, gosh, where can I put this?
I don't know.
I need an easel, Paul.
Oh, you know what? We brought the cart over last time. I'll
Okay,
go get the
okay,
cart,
get the cart and I'll get started.
and I'll hum on
I'll
my
just
way.
set this under here. So this is our light source, obviously, and there's going to be a light glow around it that's going to gradually fade to dark. So we're going to have like a dark vignette around the edges. And to accomplish that look, oh, there you go. Perfect.
That works.
What we're going to do is we're going to start with white, and then we're going to gradually add some cyan to that.
Cyan.
Okay? You just felt the need to say
If my
it.
name was Anne.
Okay, so let's pick up our largest brush, whatever you got there. You might have our brushes or you might have your own. It doesn't matter. They all accomplish the same thing. Go ahead and dip it in your water cup and then blot it dry on your towel. Pick up some white paint with your brush, and you can feel free to use a lot. Look how I have that really loaded up. And just kind of, just to the right of center, slightly right of center, I'll make a big grapefruit-sized white circle.
That shows up awesome on screen.
It does. This white is actually almost seems
chunky.
like, yeah, it's a little like it.
Well,
went
it's
through
a
the
thicker
cold.
paint. It's the thicker paint, so
Yeah.
just add a little bit of water.
So I'm making this a little bit larger than, maybe it's more like a pomelo. Pomelo? How do you say it?
Pomelo.
Pomelo? We tried one of those, Greta and I, for the first time. It's interesting.
Depends on if you want to be the Giada of painting or not. Pumelo.
Pomelo.
It's the pumelo.
Okay, so let's take our brush and just use the corner of it and scrape up a little cyan and paint it right over the top.
So, Jenny,
Hmm?
if somebody were using different colors,
Yeah.
what would you recommend for the cyan?
What do you mean?
If somebody were not using these exact paints, like if they had their own paints at home.
Oh, what color? Cobalt blue, I think.
Cobalt, Prussian,
Even-
actually Prussian blue would be all right if you guys have
Cerulean.
that. Cerulean.
Even phthalo blue.
Phthalo blue would probably be the
Yeah,
best, honestly.
if you didn't have cyan. Phthalo or cobalt. So I am ending up with a circular shape, but you don't have to end up with a circular shape. I'm going to gradually start adding more cyan as we get away.
I think I've seen this technique before.
Yeah. I really, really, really overworked the original.
No.
Looking at it, I blended that thing to the point it almost looks like AI generated art.
But you proved it can be done.
I thought maybe you were going to paint this with entirely different colors, Paul. Yeah, Paul, what's up with that? You're using
No.
the same colors.
I don't usually stray that far. We'll see though, because we've got a long ways to go yet.
Yeah, we do. So when I painted the original, I got it all done, and I had really smoothed and smoothed and smoothed, and I don't know, maybe I just got stuck in like a loophole or something. And I got it done, and I thought, you know, this would actually look really good with a choppy background.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, so you can do like a lot of the backgrounds we've done in the past where we're just sort of flipping our brush around like this, or you can really work and do long brush strokes and really smooth stuff out. So we're not necessarily looking for a circular center, just a light center. And you can add a little water to your paint. So you can see I dipped my brush in my water cup and stirred a bit in here. I'm always slightly overlapping into this light color because I want to pull it outward. So I'm never like plopping my brush down here, like out here where there's no light color. I'm always sort of feeding off that. It's like it's the giant mother from like kombucha. We're getting a little bit of her in everything. And I'm not using a huge amount of paint because we layer so much onto the background. So some parts of it we're going to need to be pretty dry. Where I feel like I wish I had like a 2-inch wide brush.
So you guys, we did something new with our equipment again this week. We're always
did?
changing. Yeah, we put the monitor that actually shows the YouTube feed right in the middle where we can both easily see it.
Oh, where was it last time? It was over there,
It was
wasn't
way over
Yeah.
here. So
That's right.
this way we actually, and even before, we usually just had it in front of the person who was doing the tech stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now
now
we can all see
we can both
the
see
comments.
it without having to rely on the other person.
So you can go back at any time and just smooth this white light color while it's still wet. I like to do up and down strokes, and then sometimes I'll really light pressure, just go back and forth.
One of these paints stinks.
Is it?
Yes. Oh, you can't smell it still. So
I can smell a little. It was not COVID, thank God. We took 3 COVID tests, and it didn't feel like, you know, the flu or anything like that. I didn't ever have a fever or anything.
So from the outside looking in, you guys really just had a cough and congestion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And fatigue.
yeah, but I didn't notice that either of you ever felt like seemed like you were really like sick, just like in that knocked out and.
Yeah, it was really weird though
Oh, I
because
mean, Greta gets a man cold, so
it was really weird though because your parents got COVID at the same time, and we hadn't been around them for like I don't know 2 weeks or so, and so it was so strange. It was like, oh man, I feel like I need to go out and test just because they have it at the same time. Maybe it's somehow, but it is going around.
Hayden's got it now.
Well, COVID's going around, but
No,
this
no.
cold is also going around.
Yeah, Hayden's got the cold.
You're gonna get it next.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay, now that I am
I think if I were gonna get it, I would already had it.
now that I am way out here and I have just a little bit of canvas left, this is where I'm going to get some white off my brush, apparently. Add some darker color to create this sort of smoky blue tone. So you see that, how dark that is? The way I did that is I added a little black. Another color you could add if you wanted more of a jewel toned background would be a little bit of your cyan. So you can have kind of more of a purple. But you just pick up a little bit of black, corner of your brush, mix it in down here.
To quote the centaur
Add a
from
little
Harry
water.
Potter, Jenny Painter, this is where I leave you.
What's that mean? Are you doing
He
something
said,
different?
this is where I start to deviate.
This is where Paul's going to deviate. So you can see this beautiful smoky blue color. I just love that. It's one of my favorites. I think you call it stormy blue
I do.
with your instructions.
Yeah.
Well,
You do it
hopefully,
differently than I do, though, because I
hopefully you
would
guys have-
very rarely use black to do that.
Huh. Yeah, you're just going to go extra.
It's not extra. It's just different.
It's extra.
It's only extra if you feel insecure about it.
Okay, I feel insecure about it. So if you end up with a real harsh line like I've got going on here, don't worry about that right now. We can always bring some more of this blue back in over the top. But if it really is bothering you, wipe your brush off and just use the cleaned off brush to go over the seam where the two colors meet, the light and dark color. Really light brush strokes, and look at that, how it's just blending right in now. Just by going over the seam. It's just a lot of just pushing the color around on the canvas. And I must have been really relaxed when I designed this one because so much of that background is so blended like that, where you're just having fun just pushing and manipulating the wet paint around.
Push you around.
Hopefully you guys all have had an amazing February. Paul and I both celebrated our 49th birthdays.
Did you say 29?
Oh, that's what I meant. Yeah.
29.
Did I say 49? I meant
Yeah, I don't know where you came up. Maybe because of the Super Bowl being right between our birthdays and the 49ers. You just got confused.
So our birthdays are only 4 days apart, and I celebrate mine first on the 9th, and then Paul's is on the 13th. But I came down with this illness on my birthday, and I literally was pretty close to tears because we had plans with some friends and had to cancel everything. The whole weekend I had to cancel. We had Super Bowl plans at the same friend's house, and I had to stay home. Did we watch Groundhog's Day? No, I actually
I have
have
never
not.
seen it.
Oh, I think we watched it once.
I don't think so. That was somebody else.
We watched, what's the name of that movie? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I saw it was on, I think, Amazon. I was like, you know what? It's been years since I've seen that movie. Let's watch it. Last time I fell asleep. Guess what happened? I fell asleep again.
Yeah, so if you guys have ever seen that movie, so she fell asleep and then she asked me for an update with what was going on. It's like
everything.
I'm like, I don't even know where to start. There's so much
Thank you,
going
Marlene.
on.
Groundhog's Day is your favorite holiday and movie. That's so funny. What's that random one to pick? But hey, that's awesome.
Bill Murray.
So I'm going to show now how to blend this business out because it's not super great.
Give it to business, Jenny.
And I'm going to wash my brush. This one is a lot harsher than what I had down here. So I'm going to wash my brush now and dry it off really good. Really good. And I could try and just use just the brush, But because of this paint getting really dry now, I think I'm going to have to remix some of this color and bring that color gradually back in. So anytime you have to do that, you want to use very little paint on your brush, because if you're just blending, trying to soften something, and you have a lot of paint, you have to figure out where's all of this paint going to fit. So if you start with just a little at a time, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold my brush up there. Yes, that's really close, but I feel like I have maybe too much paint on the brush to blend. So I'll just wipe some of that off. You can wipe it off on your towel or your palette, whatever works. And I'm just going to blend up into the dark color and just gradually add a little bit at a time. And just enjoy this process. Don't stress out about it. The background is such a small part of this painting when you're all done with it. So when I say have fun with it, just enjoy learning how to blend. Like, what happens if I...
What happened to it?
What happens if I do this here and do that there? What if I change my brush stroke motion or direction? All really, really good for you, and it helps build confidence as you learn.
I thought you were going to say it's all in the hips.
So yeah, I'm just bringing some of this lighter, kind of medium tone blue in here, just to blend the edges.
Oh, hi, Jenny. I assume that's
Ah,
Jenny.
yeah. Watch, captions are not displaying correctly this evening. Oh, I wonder why that is. Do you have a setting?
No,
weird
that's kind of a YouTube
thing?
yeah.
Well, hopefully that will get sorted out. If it's not, send us a message and we can send you the instructions.
Oh, yeah.
Always just email those over.
But then they lack the wit and the humor.
Yes.
The awkwardness at times.
So right now, I kind of have this tunnel going, which I think is really cool. This could become any painting, maybe like a Coraline painting or some kind of Halloween painting, something in a cave. Maybe you're in a cave and you're looking out at the ocean. I mean, you could change this up and make it into anything you want. But we're going to continue with our snow lantern.
I believe it's a sky. I'm making up words I can't deny.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So next week we get Crocus Pocus. That's our painting that we're going to be teaching, or Paul's going to be teaching. I think
It's
yeah, you want to grab it?
It's right up there.
We'll show it for people who don't know what's coming next. It'll be next Friday, same time, same place, same channel.
Can we say it's the same paint time, same paint place?
Same paint time, same paint place. There we go. So we tried to think of a name, and I thought, the crocuses are poking out. Crocus Pocus! That's what we're calling it.
Yeah.
It was...
You guys don't realize how hard it is to name these paintings.
It can be, because we've named so
We've
many.
named so many paintings. Like I don't know. How many paintings do you think we've done in the last 13 years?
I wouldn't even know.
Like 300 or 400?
Yeah, at least.
At least. So.
Because there's been a lot of duds, too.
Sure.
Okay, I'm just adding some finishing touches. I can see some spots where I put my finger down to stabilize my canvas.
No.
And that ended up with fingerprints.
How dare you?
If I have like thin areas where I can see tiny speckles of white canvas, I'll try to get some paint on there. And the key here is, if you're ending up with a lot of stop and start marks, like those little lines like this. Trying to make it, yeah, like that. What you want to do is, while that's still wet, just smooth it out. And just try to keep with, unless you're working on like a corner or something, try to stay with the long, like here, corner I'm going to do short, choppier brush strokes. But as you get out in here, you want to do the long end-to-end brush strokes.
I think I need to point out that you got a new tattoo on your right forearm and people are seeing a little part of it.
Yes.
So you might want to just show it off. She got Robert Smith
This
of
is
The
Robert.
Cure.
This is The Cure. So normally I probably wouldn't have gotten that tattoo there, but I had a really close friend is going to tattoo school, and he had to do 10 free tattoos. And I talked to him about this one, and he got really excited about it. And I thought, okay, this is what we're going to do. And yeah, so I had that done on Wednesday. And yeah, I slipped him $100. I'm like, I can't just sit here and let him tattoo me for 2.5 hours and not. It feels weird to do a.
Oh, great!
But they have to.
So I'm gonna have to pay him for mine.
Absolutely. Why would you think that you wouldn't?
Well, I thought I was gonna slide into the free.
No.
And he still owes his mom one, so I guess
Yeah,
I guess I'll be paying full price, and
That's right.
I'm good with that.
But yeah, it offered him just this huge boost in confidence, and it turned out good. And I figure, at my age, I've got so many permanent marks on my skin, and there's always new ones coming out. I'm like,
Hey,
doesn't matter.
With a tattoo, at least you get to pick what it is.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Oh, I'm gonna put these on. Okay, so
Our glasses match. Yours are a little bit different shape, but
quit copying me, Paul.
actually, I got mine first.
Okay, I'm gonna wash my brush. Now this should be in the sticky dry phase or sticky wet, so it's like kind of
Tacky.
glossy. Yeah, tacky. So it's kind of glossy, but this isn't paint that you could really manipulate around too much because it's really pretty stuck on there now. And that's where we want it. I feel like my new background is maybe a little darker, maybe not.
It's hard to tell at this point. Jinx.
It's okay. It's okay. We're going to mix up our bamboo color. So I've got some streakiness. Let me go, let's see, go in here. You can see this kind of muddy streakiness in here and like right up in here. I'm not going to worry about that because my lantern is going to go over that. So you might have that too. You might have it anywhere on here. We got like the chances of something going over some weird part of your background are very high because we have bamboo stalks, we have a tree branch, we have a lot of flowers, we have a lantern. But let's go ahead and move along to step 2. So we are right here. We are going to mix black cyan and just a dab of white to create our bamboo color. So it is a darker color than this. So you want to add more black. Here's the color. Now this one I actually have added, which we'll do later on. I added streaks of black shading and whatnot. But you want a color that's going to stand out against this. So it's black cyan with your biggest brush.
Oh.
Scrape off some cyan, add some black to it. And just a little bit of white, tiny bit, because it's going to, oh, something fell off. I think my microphone thing came unclipped. Oh, weird. There it is. Okay, just a tiny bit of white. The white's going to really lighten things up pretty quick. So that's probably about right. I could add a little black. I guess we'll see when I get it painted on here. Bamboo stalks are really fun and easy to paint because they grow super rigid and straight, and you've got these little nodules between sections. So let's have a look.
Plant bones.
Yeah, that is what they're like, bones. So we're going to use, they're the exact width of this brush. I just go up, I stop, I leave a tiny little gap that's like maybe 1/8 of an inch wide. Go up, stop, tiny gap, and just keep going. And you can have it sort of curve off. This one almost bends a little bit too much, like almost like this is broken, but that's okay. I noticed that later. I never noticed it before. But we got to do the one behind it first. That one right here. So I'm going to shake your mouse around. There we go. This is going to start here, and it's going to go off the canvas up here. It doesn't have to be exact to mine. Mine probably won't match my original. But go ahead and set your brush down. Drag it up maybe about 5 or 6 inches. And you're going to end up with this where your brush runs out of paint. Don't worry about that. You can always go back in and turn your brush, fill it in. I feel like I could add a little more blue to this. It's almost too dark, which, funny, I thought it wouldn't be. Add a little water to your paint too. Because you see how, with how fast my brush ran out of paint, having it be fluid will help you a lot. Okay, so now I'm skipping and I'm leaving, see, just a little gap there. And I'm gonna go up about 5, 6 inches. I'm not pushing very hard, just really light pressure. We're just kind of setting the print of where these are gonna be. And then we'll go back and fix them up later. Oh, I don't know what happened there. There we go. Let's go up a little further. Okay, now this one is gonna go up, and this is gonna go off the top of my canvas. I can just tell by the way it's laid out. The other one kind of went off to the side. This one's gonna go off the top. Totally fine. Remember to add some water to your paint. That's gonna help a lot. And there we go. What are you doing, Paul?
I'm changing settings on the computer. All right, we're back.
Okay, so that
Not that we left.
completely imperfect. It's just, it looks like I have strips of tape on there. That's how it should look right now, because we are going to go back with smaller brushes and other colors and fix it up. So now I'm going to do this one. This one starts way in the corner, goes up, and just sort of is bending that way. So let's start down here. This one does cross over the top. I don't want this to end at the exact same place. I'm kind of setting myself up to do that, so I'm going to go up just a little bit higher. Leave a gap. One crosses over. Leave a gap. So think about your lantern while you're up in here. We don't want to block our space too much, although your lantern could go over the bamboo, so that's not a huge, big deal. But I just thought about that. I was like, oh, I need to consider my lantern. There, so this one bends over probably an inch further than my original. I can deal with that. And let's get this other branch on. So that's this one. This is the one that the lantern is going to be hanging off of. We have the twigs that come down in front of the lantern. This is just way up in the corner and very different painting style than this one. This one's going to be more like a cherry branch. Actually, that is what it is, because we have the cherry blossoms, or plum, whatever. Use the thin edge of your brush and just draw kind of a slightly wavy line first. And then I think I'm going to just set this aside. I'll pick it up in a minute. I'm going to switch down a brush size. So I am going to, my number 8, it's a 1/4 inch flat brush. Whatever you have that's similar, you might have a round brush, it doesn't matter. Wet it, dry it off, dip it in your paint. Oh, yeah. Kim said that she is going to a show with her daughter tonight. That's what she had put on the post earlier.
I'm concerned about her commitment.
So I'm using the thin edge of my brush and I'm making it wobbly. So yes, that's where our Florida friend is, Joanna. It's weird without her in here, and Mark.
And Daniel's working. So, but it looks like we've got a couple new people in tonight too, which is always good, because
just filling this in with my biggest brush since it has a lot of paint on it.
So tell all your friends, because I want to have that epic live stream where we have like 600 people in.
Someday. We love having you guys on here, and we love showing you our style of painting. So that's very dark, but when I add the glowing orange and yellow highlights later, that's going to stand out nicely. And we have snow to add to it as well. But go ahead and fill it in.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I am having a little bit of this light background color mix in, so I'm just going to add a little black. Okay. Wash the brushes off. Let's go ahead and add this one little twig right here. And what that does is it makes it look like our branch is beyond just this little arm that's swagging over. And we'll have a space to put some flowers later. So one of your smaller brushes, either your number 8 or number 4, just something in the medium/small size. And your same color you've been using. If you need to refresh it with a little water, that's helpful. And I'll just make a branch that, using the thin edge of my brush, branch that goes up, and maybe it has one that splits off of it. Probably a little hard to see because of how dark I have this. Let me zoom in. That's what I should have done. So I'll actually use pure black right now just because my corner here is really dark. There we go. So it looks like a little Y. Add to that later.
Oh, trust me, Joanna, I think Daniel might be the most awkward chatter. And I say that knowing he would agree with me.
We like awkward people. They're our favorite.
Unless it's me and we're in public.
Then I hide. Okay, so I'm cleaning off my biggest brush. You can change out your water if you want. I am not one who usually does that just because a lot of times I'm like, I don't want to get up and do that. But I just dried my brush off really good. And I'm going to start making what looks like a giant moon in white. Now, if you want to do a more cylindrical lantern, you can. You don't have to do the round one. I think the best thing here is if you are afraid to paint a perfect circle. Now, don't stress too much about it being perfect. But if you want, you can trace a paper plate or something.
You know, even a paper lantern's not perfectly round.
Yeah, the wind blows it a little. And if this isn't 100% dry, it should still be okay. You just want it mostly dry. So my lantern is going to be, I'm just going to do the center, like do a small circle first. A little water to that color. And see how I'm just going around the edges always? I'm turning my brush. This white is really like frosting or something. And you can really put a lot of white on here. And you get to decide how big your lantern is. I feel like I want mine to come up a little higher here. So I'm just using the thin edge of my brush to sketch around the edges.
You could use your coaster if you've got one.
Coaster would make a really small circle, but it can get you started.
No, but it can get you started. Gonna go bigger. I just want to get this filled in.
and have a look at it on the screen. So I see it's a little flat on this side. And what I do in that case is I just kind of carve it out gradually. Take your time. It's funny because the angle I'm at, it looks a little different than it does up there on screen. So sometimes if you paint flat like me, like I'm doing, which we kind of have to do for our videos,
Check it.
you can, yeah, tilt your canvas up.
Unless you want to paint an
Check
egg-shaped
it.
one. It's amazing how perspective can affect that just in such a small,
Yeah.
like, range.
Yeah, I got it pretty close. Just like I said, I like to use the thin edge of the brush and kind of carve.
Are we in the building with the
Parts
ghost?
out.
We are not.
What'd you see, or did you hear something? Do tell, do tell.
Well, the neighbors were just using the roll-up door.
Yeah, if you heard like a chain clanking, that's
It was Gus the Friendly Ghost using his bang clank equipment. Or whatever it was. Wasn't it his bang clank equipment?
Yes, old children's book.
Come on, everybody knows who Gus the Friendly Ghost is.
Not everybody does. Those weren't like super crazy popular books, but you had it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Take a deep breath. Take a sip of whatever you're sipping on. Woo. Yeah, you probably heard the roll-up door. Okay. So we're still in step 3. But we're going to leave our giant moon shape alone, and we're going to paint the little bamboo branches and leaves. And then we're going to add some color to our current branches here. Let's see here.
Let's see then.
I'm just remembering there's a part where we round the nodules out. Doesn't really matter. Let's fix up our nodules right now. So what I'm talking about is we have just like what looks like flat pieces of tape, and we want to, when bamboo grows, it is like bones where it's like they kind of curve, but not a huge amount, just a little, like this.
Some do more than others.
Yeah, that's right. Some varieties do, brands. So I want to use one of my small brushes, or I'm sorry, one of my small flat brushes. So either the number 4 or the number 8, whichever one feels more like you're going to do a better job with. And we're going to use the base color that we did our bamboo with. You might need to remix. And I will make sure to zoom in.
You better.
Okay. Ah, Susan's fading fast. Looking forward to painting this in the near future. Good night, everybody. Have a good weekend. You too. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
We'll see you next time. Okay, so what I want to do here is kind of come along the top edge and just slightly round out the top. And then I'll use this opportunity to use the thin edge of the brush and just clean up the edges here. They don't have to be perfectly straight. And then I want to round this one out as well. I feel like I maybe want to use a smaller brush than my number 8. But yes, if you just think of it like bones, that's the ticket. And just leave a really thin line of the background showing. I'm going to try using my number 4 for the next one. right here. Light rounding. And I just brush that color downward so it blends in. So it's not doesn't look like I came in and just patched up the nodules. This would be good if your color doesn't exactly match. So in the original, this goes over the top of that one behind it, and I can see through it and see the one behind it. So I'm going to probably go back to my number 8 just to add.
I just had the most random thought.
Okay.
If you were doing watercolor, a double dog dish would actually work really good.
Yeah. There you go. There's your new invention.
It's not even an invention. Just go buy a double dog dish, you know, like a cheap plastic one. Put your paint in one side and the water in the other.
But you know what companies do? They take and they design their own, and it basically is a double dog dish, but they put their own paint company name on it.
Right.
And suddenly it's not a double dog dish. It's such and such by so and so.
You mean like when Mr.
Bob Ross?
Yeah, took a regular wall painting brush and called it a 4-inch brush?
Yeah. Exactly. And then he sold it with his picture on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, this looks way better already. And I just need to touch up that one. Oops. I was looking at the monitor, not at my canvas.
What are you doing, Jenny? What are you doing?
I don't really know. And feel free to clean up any edges. I'm not using a lot of paint here because there's some highlights I need to add, and I'm going to be adding some other colors to this, so I really don't need much. Just mainly wanted to fix those little nodules or nodes, whatever they're called. What are they called, Paul? Do you remember? Are they nodes or nodules, or are those the same thing?
No, nodule is not the same thing, but I think it is called a node.
Yes, it looks like bones. Okay, this branch needs touching up, but right now what I want to do is I want to take my number 8 brush, so whatever medium-sized brush you have, clean it and dry it off. And my color is really dark compared to the originals, just maybe 2 shades darker. But I'm going to use pure black, and I'm just going to scrape it down loosely, the left side, the side that's away from the light source. So this is our shading.
It is called a node, by the way.
Okay.
And if you ever trim bamboo, trim just above the node, because otherwise the shoot fills with water and rots.
Oh, bummer.
Just,
So I'm being really loose with this. I'm not like doing a perfect line. I'm doing just little streaks of getting the dark color on there. And another color I want to add, I'll wash my brush. I like adding just plain cyan, like to the middle of the stalk. So when I say the middle of the stalk, I'm talking like right along here. Let me zoom in. I know it's hard to see because of how dark this is. Maybe I'll add just a tiny white so you can see what I'm adding. So I'm lightening up my cyan. You don't have to. But just adding, see the blue I added in there? Loosely. There, I love that. It's just kind of an expressionist thing, adding a color that maybe doesn't necessarily belong in nature, but you know, in this sort of setting, you might end up seeing the night sky reflected. Just keep it very choppy and loose. And if you need to add a little bit of white to yours, like I did, feel free to do that, but I really do like the way that looks. Just kind of a mid-tone highlight. Gives it a little shine. Makes it look a little more interesting than just plain dark. And if you need to add any more color to this branch up here, you want the dark color to be away from the light source. So I'm just going to add some dark clean up black along here. Choppy brush strokes. This is a choppy, rough branch. Also, this little twig needed another coat of paint because it mixed with the background color earlier. And you can add that blue to that as well if you like, but I don't really think there's a need to because we're going to have the golden colors from the lantern reflected, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. Just some choppy little brush strokes to break up. So it looks kind of like you're suggesting bark, but you're not necessarily painting bark or anything like that. You're just painting some rough highlights, mid-tone highlights. All right, let's add some little bamboo twigs and leaves. They're super easy because they grow really rigid and straight, and we don't have to worry about like doing any special curvy lines. And there's just a couple that we had. So I used the smallest brush and I went out at a sharp angle that just up towards the lantern since they're going to grow up towards the sky anyway. And then I just did these long, pointy, kind of palm-like leaves. So bamboo is it's a variety of grass. So you think of it like grassy palm shapes. Let's pick up our little brush. Dip it in the water. And you'll go to your dark color, which was the cyan and black, with some of you might have added a tiny bit of white, like I suggested earlier, but it is a pretty dark color on mine, at least, with my background color. Add some water to that. When you're using this tiny brush, you definitely want to have the fluidity with your paint. Otherwise, your brush will start running out of paint almost immediately, and we want to do a nice long brush stroke like that before you have to redip your paintbrush. So from there, I can make it a little wider where it grows out of the stalk, but it's going to get thin right on the end. And then these leaves, I like to just start with the one that would just hang straight down. And look at the shape I'm doing. It's like someone took an almond and stretched it really long. Or it's shaped like a little minnow without the fins. And just do several of those that are different lengths. So see, I made a shorter one now. You can have one that maybe comes out like this. It could either grow like this or maybe the wind's picking up a little bit, but that also gives you a fun little spot to put snow. So yes, think of it like someone took an almond and stretched it. To me, these are kind of fun to paint. And then I have the suggestion of another stalk that goes, or branch that grows off of here, but I didn't do leaves because they're off the canvas somewhere. And then I have one little section of leaves up here, but you could put them up here. I think probably keeping it in this V is nice because we could end up kind of crowded in here with the lantern and the branches and the flowers. So just a repeat of this, but less leaves. So it's going to grow up at an angle. And littler leaves. This one's kind of further away. It's behind the other one. I think I'll probably just do 3 leaves. Oh, where to put the other one? Let's see. Right there. Creepy fingers. This is what it looks like. All right. Clean out. see, that is drying, but it's not 100% dry. So this will be a great time for us to mix up some color to add highlights to the bamboo. Now this painting at this point, you could decide, you know, I really like this as a moon. And you could shade it and add craters and play around with that. But if you want to go all the way with us, we're going to turn this into the lantern. Okay, so we are going to mix yellow and magenta. We want to create an orange tone. So our lantern is very warm. In my mind, I thought of it as a red lantern that's just lit from within, so it kind of has that orange cast. So we want to mix these two colors. That's your magenta and yellow. Or you can, if you're using your own paint, red and yellow, totally fine. Or if you have phthalo red and yellow, totally fine. You just want a red base color and a yellow. Clean the brush off really good to get any blue water out of it. And I'm going to say it's probably a little more yellow than magenta. The magenta will kind of overpower things. Yeah, that's good. Kind of a pumpkin orange. Just tilting it into different lights. That's the accurate color in this light. And I have a lot of paint on my brush. You can see how much paint's globbed on there just from mixing. So I usually will try to turn and pull, knock off excess paint. You can also wipe it on your paper towel, but I think turning and twisting worked really good. And let's get some highlights on this. So I want to, this is a lot like a Van Gogh painting that I did a replica of years ago. I start at the edge and I'm just doing these little curved brush strokes. Let me zoom in.
I give you permission. You can zoom in.
So I did a replica of Van Gogh's almond blossoms. And this is exactly how he highlights his branches. Just does this little curved line and leaves sections of the dark color in there too, so you get the bark texture. And you can always go back and add more. So like right here, like right along the edge is a great part to add a second little pop of the color, because look at that. You've got this cool ultra highlight, and it is very Van Gogh-ish. It has this kind of Van Gogh vibe to it. So first I'm just going to do this first coat that's kind of almost a, it turns slightly greenish against the dark color of the branch. But then when you come in with the extra pop, then it's really, really orange. So we're going to let this dry with just this base kind of greenish toned orange. And we're going to work on the bamboo, doing the same thing but a slightly different, same thing but a different technique. So the bamboo, nice, tall, straight stalks, straight-ish. And you can come down using rough, choppy, broken up brush strokes, just like we did when we added the blue in there. And when you get to the nodes, you can kind of come back inwards a little, sort of highlighting the fact that this comes in. So what I want you to try to avoid, because this is something that I have to work really hard to avoid, is doing a perfect straight line along here. You want this to be painterly. We want it to be choppy. So you have long brush strokes mixed in with short ones. Maybe some areas where it's less blended. And we're going to go along here. Same thing. I just kind of come along the top edge of that node there. I think the key is to not overthink it when you're adding the streaks of color, and just think of it like more that it's color and less
What it is.
yeah, I was gonna say less technique, but it kind of is less technique. So let's zoom out and see how that looks. Very cool. It is something we gradually add to, so we're going to add some yellow later. This is a process that starts out really dark, and we are gradually adding to it. So let's go ahead and highlight this one too. There we go. It's there, I promise. I'll just bring it into the light a little. Look at this dark void.
They're really
Slightly dark void above.
I can't figure out what it's from.
I can't either.
It could be from the monitors, maybe, but I don't see it on the tabletop.
We'll have to experiment, maybe bringing that light down. Not right now.
No, because it's not. See, like where you put your coffee cup? I don't think it's a dark void.
It's a dark void. Maybe it's just that monitor. Look it down there.
It looks the same.
Okay. So this branch has had some time to dry. Just enough. It's probably in this sticky, tacky phase. So now I'm going to hit it up with some more. I'm using the thin edge of the brush coming along the front edge of this branch. You can even turn your brush this way. Adding this beautiful fiery color right along the front edge, because that is right where this light is going to shine. The light's going to kind of dissipate as it gets over to the other side of the branch. Okay. I feel like I could add a little bit there. And if you feel like you need to go add a bit more here, just like an extra pop. Maybe these front bamboo, that adds a lot of glare, I think. Let me look. Let me know, you guys, if this is, yeah, bring it in a little closer, Paul. Maybe right about there. That's a little better. If you get it too close, it gets glare. But right there, just right there. Don't move. Stay there all night. So this bamboo here that's really close to the lantern, you can add a nice little extra pop of that warm orange if you like. I love the look of this so much. Like this one maybe is kind of close too, so you can add. This one I think of as being a little bit further away. Okay. I love this. I love orange and blue together. I always have. I think they just complement each other nicely. That being said, let's get some orange onto our bamboo leaves. This one's going to stay dark. I don't think there's any highlight on that. No, it doesn't look like it. You'll want to use your smallest brush. And just dip it right in the orange paint. Top edge of this leaf is going to get a nice bold highlight because of that light shining right down on the top. See there? This one too will get a little highlight, maybe down the middle part of the lower right side. And you can highlight the top of this, but you don't really need to. But this leaf, yes. Got this little glob I wanted to straighten out a little. Hey, looking good. Looking at mine, because it's a bit darker on the edges than the original, and this branch really disappears, I could, to make it reappear, I don't have to make it reappear, but I could use just the finest little orange highlight along the edge. And then it kind of reappears a little. Okay, cool. Take a breath, stretch out your fingers. One of the things I tend to forget to do is like wiggle my fingers a little. Take a drink of whatever you're drinking. I've got lukewarm latte. And now we are going to move on to step 4. And it says, now we will make the lantern look like a glowing orb. Absolutely. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the center. And yes, mine's a little bit wet. You can see when I turn it. But the blue underneath is dry. And that, at least I hope it is now they said it. That's the part we really need dry. So let's clean the biggest brush off. Clean it off really good, because any blue that's on your brush is going to make the middle yellow part of the lantern turn green. Now I could get up and change my water, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to use my paper towel and just really squeeze out excess moisture and cross my fingers and hope that it doesn't turn green. So let's start with a little white. Dab your brush in white, dab some white right in the center just to get started. We've got this nice hot white center where the light bulb is. And let's go ahead and mix yellow and a little white. So very pretty, just more pastel version of the yellow right out of the tube. And I'm just lifting and tapping kind of fast as I work my way around here. I need more paint. What we're going to do is we are going to gradually make this blend into orange on the outside edge. So I'm trying to get quite a lot of this paint down, but just by adding bits at a time. Keep the center really light and white. You can always go back and add more white back into the center. It's not actually pure white on the original. It's just light. Ugh, my blue water is... Okay, it didn't really get in there. That's good. I feel like this white paint is not being very nice tonight.
I've noticed that.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
It's not being my happy friend.
So I could go and dip the brush in the white, terrible white paint. I think it maybe was close to the window and got too cold.
Something.
See how I added a little white back in the center. I probably got a little too much, so what I do in that case is just bring some yellow back in there. Just mix it right on canvas. And go ahead and pull the yellow outwards. It feels like I'm putting frosting on because it's so thick. And now I want to start slowly getting the orange in here. Now the orange is going to come in from the side, so you've got your orange on your palette. If not, you need to make a little more. And let's go ahead and work from the outside. Let those wet colors blend together. But I like to keep the darkness on the outside edge.
You probably wouldn't know that, Tim. We are using System 3 Acrylics by Daler Rowney, and it is their process color set. So it's a set of 6 colors you can get on Amazon, Dick Blick, Jerry's Artorama, any of those places.
You should add a link to each video, Paul.
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do.
But why don't you grab a set off the shelf so you can show?
Yeah.
We do have some, and they're on our website. We have maybe 6 packs.
3
left.
sets, maybe.
No, they're over here. We've got like 5 or 6. So I'm bringing this in. But yeah, Tim, we're going to probably use different paints for the some of the different videos. We're going to stick with these for a while because a lot of our students and customers have these particular ones.
I think it's if you buy them online, they're like $36 a set.
But we sell them
But
for,
they last a long
I don't
time.
know what we sell them for. 24, I think. We don't have this priced up at all.
So
That's what they are.
So, and like again, I don't know for sure if anybody, like if you were to go into Michael's, I doubt they have it in stock.
Check.
But you can order on Amazon.
If you go to michaels.com and put in your zip code, it'll tell you what store you're assigned to or closest to, and then it will say if it's in store.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got this orange that I blended in from the outside edges, and I really need to blend the center because it looks not so great. So this is where I'm going to look at my brush and go, dang, there's a lot of paint on there in a lot of different colors. I want to work quick before this gets too dry and wash my brush off.
I'm kind of getting into slurry mode. And that's not a good thing.
So, Tim, if you guys went to Michael's, because I say Michael's because they're all over and the paint is easy to get, and they always run specials and their pricing is pretty good. They have a brand called Basics, and those are actually pretty good. I've used those in a lot of different paintings.
That's Liquitex.
Is it by Liquitex?
I think so.
It might be like a competitor to Liquitex. Oh no. Yeah, I'm getting kind of muddy here.
You're getting really muddy.
I think it's the white paint is
just not drying.
Yeah. Not being friendly.
I suspect as we get going, though, we are going to use this for a little while. We both like this paint a lot. It's a little thicker than what we normally would have used at VineGo. It's a little bit, a little more usable in that way. It allows us to do a lot more like traditional techniques. But I imagine we'll probably get into using like some like golden and stuff like that. Would be my hunch.
Yeah, I'll do some videos with the golden thin body acrylics because those are fun. And it's one of those you can use your own paints anytime. So I'm just not using a lot of paint on my brush. It was getting a little muddy right up in here, and I'm wondering if maybe there's some wet blue under there. Or it might be just scraping away the
I think it's just scraping
thick,
away.
Crazy white paint. It's not cooperating tonight. We'll have to actually throw that bottle away. It was towards the end of the bottle, so. In fact, I will probably have you get up and go get a different white.
I think it matters at this point.
Well, I need it for snow and stuff, so I can go get one.
I can go get it. But actually, if you're just doing snow and stuff, this white's fine.
Unless it doesn't dry.
Well, it'll dry. Part of the problem with it is it's starting to dry. No, don't go through there. You'll trip on stuff.
No, I won't. I will not.
I think it's just acts like it's starting to dry.
Yeah. That is true. Let's see, this one. Oh yeah, we don't have a lot of white left, but I got that one from Blick the other day. So I'll just use good old handy dandy Blick.
That one might be cottage cheesy.
No, this one isn't. This is great paint, you guys. You can buy this at Blick, and they have pints, and they have half gallons. This is what we always used to use. It's a little thinner bodied than what we've been. But if you're learning from a beginner and a little scared of thicker paints, try those.
But here's the key with thicker paints, and this is where I'm going to dig my heels in a little bit. You can always thin down thicker paint. you can't thin down thinner. I mean, you can't thicken up thinner paint.
Yeah. You can if you add like paste gel to it.
Yeah, but that's an advanced thing.
Okay, so I picked up a different white. And I'm just going to
Yeah,
pretend
it's
I'm
just.
frosting a very delicate cake.
You know, I think maybe it's because it's kind of chilly in here.
Could be.
It's just not drying very fast.
Yeah. Could be. Where's the hairdryer?
I don't know, but I'm thinking about nachos right now.
Okay, so I just have it so it's darker around the edges and going towards a more glowing center. Now my original is definitely more blended, but not a whole lot more blended. I just didn't have the problem with the white that I'm having right now. And so I'm going to pretty much leave it as it is, but I'll add just a bit more orange around the edges just to shade it. And if you pull that inwards so that you're not ending up with just like a outline, then it will look a little bit more natural. You have ESPN, Paul. Oh,
I
wait.
do.
I didn't read the comment above. I just finished shrimp nachos and my wife ate some asada nachos. That is so funny. Did you guys make them at home or did you go somewhere? You do have ESPN. My daughter and I are so connected that way. We're like, I'll say something and she'll be like, I was just thinking the same thing. Like, and it'll be random, like, hey, do you want to watch this movie tonight? I was literally just thinking that. And they always say, stop trying to copy me. Stop trying to copy my thoughts. Okay, the white is drying.
I can't do any more with mine.
Slowly. I keep scraping off a little bit. I'm not going to do any more with mine either. Once we add the line work and all that stuff, it will be... Heck no, I made her go pick them up. Awesome. Yeah, once we add the line work and branches and everything, this lantern that's not looking the greatest will look a little better. Or how about it will be hidden? That's what I wanted to say. And this is me not fighting my tendency and my urge to want to overwork.
This is me.
Put the brush down, Jenny.
This is me fully engaging in overworking.
Yours has straight up texture.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you should show yours. Yours is like Venetian plaster. It's a peach. That startled me. Was that somebody's car starting up?
Motorcycle.
Okay. Got an anti-anxiety hoodie and sweats today and put them after work. And I refuse to wear clothes until at least Tuesday. Yeah, my daughter wants one of those ones that's called an hoodie. It's like really big and fleecy. And they're all the rage and they're like really expensive, I think.
See, mine's not even glary. It just looks like crap.
But it looks like a peach.
I was kind of thinking it looks like a psychedelic beehive.
Okay, it could be that too. Okay, well, this gives us a great opportunity to work on our branches some more and then the snowflakes. And in fact, that is the instruction that comes next. I want to warm up well, not really warm up. I want this yellow glow I want to be reflected onto the branches and the bamboo. So let's pick up our number 8 or number 4 brush. Can you grab me another paper towel, Paul? This one is like a Rorschach test. What do we see? Tie-dye. Actually, that's kind of cool.
Now it's going to get on your painting. Oh. My heart is still.
While I wait for him to bring the paper towel, I'm just tapping off the water.
These are really bad paper towels.
Yeah, they're one ply from like Uline.
They're Scott brand.
You gotta stop buying those. Okay.
So that was the first time I've bought those.
Oh, okay.
in order to stop buying them, there has to be a trend that's been established.
So I'm using yellow, just not the white yellow, although you could use the white yellow mix. I'm just using the yellow right out of the tube. Not a lot of paint on the brush. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to use the thin edge of my brush. And I'm using the same technique that we did with the orange. But by adding the yellow in there, you just get that extra brightness. And it really gives the illusion of this lantern reflecting right up on this branch. So I'm keeping this primarily to the edge of the branch that's facing the lantern. There we go. Love that. You could bring, every once in a while, maybe bring one a little further back, like maybe it's got a little nodule on it or something that's grabbing the light a bit more. And I could add just a bit along here if needed. And I'm going to go now and add some yellow to the edge here. Just as much as you like or as little as you like. And same technique where it's kind of loose. I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want you to outline.
Oh, now you're getting all detailed.
That's not detailed.
I do detail. Little stuff.
I think I got off the camera, got going and forgot that I'm zoomed in. Okay. Love the look of this. Oh,
What was that?
that was the zoom in thingy.
Oh, why did you knock that off? I hope it didn't break.
I hope I didn't either, but I didn't knock it off. You know what I think? I think it slipped off of this. I didn't even have anything over there near it or touching it.
Make sure it still works.
Okay, yeah, we need to zoom out now. Okay, and now let's see that, Paul. Give that to me. This is bugging me a little. There we go. Now let's add just a little yellow to here. And Johanna says, have you ever, or have you given any more thought to one of you giving the painting instructions and the other one following them, but not being allowed to look at any directions or see the original painting?
That would be hard to do.
Oh, we could do that. It would be fun.
Would we have to set up a barrier between us?
Probably. So just get a little golden yellow on there, just like that. And now this is still drying. We're just gonna let that do its thing and hope for the best. Hopefully the white decides to stop acting like frosting and actually dry. If not, I'm just gonna work with it. So let's put snowflakes and snow in the background. That'll give us plenty of time for this. So pick up your littlest brush, just clean it and dry it off. We're gonna use the handle end. You guys have done this with me lots of times. Go ahead and stamp down some little dots, and then if you want, totally optional, you can smudge some of them into little orbs and then put a white dot back in the center like that. And then you have some glowing snowflakes. So the way we do that is we just take a finger, smudge it. So that one I waited a little too long. It dries pretty fast, so just put the dot down there. And then go ahead and stamp the dot back in the middle. You can use like your number 4 brush for this too. But you want to use very little paint. So you pick up just the tiniest little bit of white and you go and just go around and around and around and around until you keep getting bigger and bigger till your brush runs out of paint. That's why you want to use very little, otherwise you're going to end up with a giant circle. And then you can go back and just paint a dot right back in the center. So play around with whatever you like, maybe a combo of both. You can get a lot out of the little brush once you start it once. Where was it? Here we go. I kind of like doing them with the brush sometimes. Gives a slightly different effect. Now I just need to go back and put white dots in the centers of most of these. Dot, dot. You decide how many that you want to do with the glowing orb style. And then when you have a good number of those done, you can put little dots all over. We will put some over the lantern later. It doesn't look like I did that on the original. I think I forgot. That's funny. I either forgot or got lazy. I love the way they stand out up here in the really dark areas. That would be a fun in-person class. Oops, what do I got going on here? Compare the paintings afterward. We did talk about doing something like that.
That actually would be a good like YouTube like fun bonus kind of thing to do.
Yeah.
Like an entertainment type of painting. And of course everybody could paint along. So what I want to do now that I'm getting quite a few little snowflake dots on here, I want to put some over the bamboo. So you want to make sure that your yellow and orange are dry, and like you would put a snowflake down in front of one of the stalks, maybe some dots. That's what establishes these as snowflakes, not stars.
Yes. If you want them to be stars, don't do this part. Put some over the branch up here. I really put quite a lot on the original. I guess I'm about the same amount right now. Okay, so I'm going to wipe the handle of my brush off. Who would give the directions and who would paint?
We could do
Flip a coin.
We could do it both ways. We could do it both
Thinking
ways.
of them as lightning bugs, which which I wish we still had. Yeah, that's right, because where you moved from, I think you had them, right? Or maybe did we have them here before?
No.
They've never been in Oregon. It's just too wet. They're kind of, aren't they like field bugs? Like, don't you find them in fields?
No, usually like swamps and stuff.
Interesting.
But no, we've never had them in Oregon that I know of.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is just bring in a little bit of snow onto some of the branches, like it's just banked up a little bit. So what I'm talking about is like over here and here and like here. Oh, I have another little branch here. Oh, we add that later, duh. Okay, maybe there's a little there. We want to use not pure white, although you could, but I think it will look better if we use white mixed with a little cyan. So you've got this slight bluish tone. I'll use my number 4 brush. That's my little flat one. You could use your smallest brush too. Oh, they're in the south. Yeah, I've never seen them either. Lightning bugs. Okay, so scrape off a little white and less cyan, because we do want it to be white-ish, just kind of a pastel. So we want it like a little bit lighter than that. Amazing how that cyan really just takes charge of the color. So I wiped my brush off because I don't want a lot of paint to do this. I'm just going to pick up just a little bit with the tip of the bristles. And let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. Hey, here. So right along here would be a good spot. And I've almost got too light of a color. I think I could mix a little blue into maybe half of this for these darker areas. Wipe off that brush. And I just like the soft hazy look, so I have very little paint on my brush. Now right here where it goes into this V shape like that, you're going to get a little accumulation. And same with up in here. You can get a little accumulation where it sort of pools up there. And yes, mine is very soft. I wanted it to be kind of hazy. I want it to be there, but also not be there, I guess. Let's get this little branch here. So, or this, yeah, the branch and the leaf. So it's going to take a little bit lighter color than we just used. So I think this color that I mixed is probably good. Tip of the bristles. Let's go along here. Let your brush run out of paint. So maybe we'd have a little setting on top of that leaf. We would definitely have the little collection right in this little V shape. And the rest of these leaves probably wouldn't have much. So I will not put any. And let's see, I've got this little spot over here. It's going to get that slightly darker blue that I mixed up here. A little accumulation there. And then how about up here? We get a little. And definitely in this little crook. I feel like I really need to blast that lantern with the hairdryer. Where's the heat gun, Paul?
It's in the other building. I can go get it.
Do you think it would dry it?
Oh yeah, it might melt it, but
No, you can adjust the temperature. We'll see. I'll try and do it. And I might, well, you probably don't even know where it is over there.
oh, I know where it is.
Okay. I got a heat gun for making candles, and Paul stole it. Actually, we do have some more steps we need to do before we start painting on the like in this part. So that'll give us a little more time. Let's go ahead and we're going to paint the top and bottom caps. So let's have a look. I have 3. They're like, honestly, they're kind of like curved hot dog shapes. So we got the hot dog, the foot long, we got the hot dog, and we got the little smoky. And then down here, and then it just is finished off with a little ball cap. And I wanted to create kind of a bronze color. So I basically made orange and added a little black to it. So it's kind of a warm brown. And let's use our number 8 brush, maybe. Here we go. I've got my puddle of dried orange. I'll just mix right on the top of that. That was a yellow and magenta, or yellow and red if that's what you're using. Yellow and phthalo red. Whatever, or just orange right out of the tube. If that's what you're using, no pain with that. No worries. Probably going to need to steal some of Paul's yellow later. You know, I don't know if we actually end up using the raw sienna.
It's not raw sienna.
I mean the
yellow ochre.
Yellow ochre. Huh. Well, if you're watching this video and not doing it yet, don't put yellow ochre on your palette. But if you did put yellow ochre on your palette, it is a great color to add in with all of these.
I've been using it. So.
Well, you're special.
Well, no, that was actually really mean of you to say. But other people could use it as well.
Yeah.
And that would not be an insulting their special.
So I'm going to add a little black to this now. Just a little at a time. It'll turn not a real pretty color at first. We want it really dark. So just keep gradually adding a little black. Go ahead and keep like half your orange. You might need it a little bit later if you touch up your lantern. So I do like to keep it. I like mine pretty dark, but I don't want solid black. I want it to be definitely have a kind of bronze tone to it. Ugh, so much paint stuck up on the metal part. Okay, I'm just gonna scrape onto my palette a lot of the paint, wipe this off. Now you might find it's easier to draw these shapes on with your smallest brush. Go ahead and dip it in the water, add some water to some of that paint just to make it more fluid. Let's zoom in. So think of these as like you're adding little sentence parentheses like that. And then we want to trace the outline of the lantern. So we're curving that way. And then match that line. So this is going to parallel. So it looks like you're giving it a little beret. And then the next one, same thing. You do the little sentence parentheses. You're just in a little further. I try to look at like how much room do I have here. Try to match that up over here. And then go across. And then the last one I called the little smoky. When I was painting these, I was like, what is this? A stack of donuts? A stack of hot dogs? What is it? And then the bottom one can be a lot smaller. I'll just do the curve here and here. Just try to line it up, center it with this one as much as you can. And I'll do one more. You're always going to parallel the curve of the lantern. And then you can end it with a little ball cap. And then you have all these lovely shapes to fill in. I'll just start with this one. And then you can go back to a larger brush. And you don't need to fill them in one at a time. You can consider this all one shape here. And same with up there. Since they all get the same color, later on we'll highlight them with a little yellow so that they get this golden glow, and it also helps separate the individual bronze bits. And I had mentioned in the instructions, if you have a different way that you want to do your lantern, please feel free. I welcome creativity with open arms. And a lot of times I'll turn my canvas just to get a better angle, especially if I'm dragging my arm over this wet paint. Hey, if you're not doing anything, you should run over and grab that heat gun. I think I might need it. I don't know. Should I try and do it without?
I would not trust a heat gun.
Okay.
It might cause more problems
Puts
than
a
you
hole
think.
in the canvas.
Yeah.
Let me show you real quick how to repair that. We don't. Tape. Oh, Marlene, we have lightning bugs here in Ohio. You're so lucky. I love that. All right. Now, before I go too far and have my paint run out, I want to paint the little strand, the little string that goes from the top of this all the way up. So use your littlest brush, probably add a little fresh water to your paint. And I like to pull towards myself. So I'm going to turn this upside down and just right the middle of this, go straight up. Just take your time, trace a ruler if you want. Credit card, whatever works. But then I've got this little string, and you can make it thicker if you like. You can make it into a chain if you want to do like little interlocking rings. And now All the skipping around I did to allow my funky lantern to dry. And now I'm faced with having to add to the actual lantern itself. I think we'll be okay. We'll see. So the dividing lines, we're basically here, but we've added the snow already. And I want to outline the lantern first, and then I'll talk to you about the little dividing lines in it. So water down your paint, your same color you've been using. And you can use this little brush if you like. Maybe pull and twist to knock off excess paint. Start with just a little. So you can do it this way. Having it watered down, you're getting a less intense line. And that's going to work a little bit better. Because I want you to think of it not like it's outlined, more of it's shaded. So another brush that's good to use, instead of the little one, instead of this little round one, you can use your flat brush, but you use the thin edge. So use the watered down paint and just, I love doing it this way. I prefer this to the little brush. And what you can do is you can do this kind of quick and then wipe your brush off. And before this watered down brownish color dries, you can kind of slightly pull it inward. I need to add just a little more. So then you do get this, what is that noise?
I don't know, we have new neighbors.
Oh, you can get this kind of shaded effect.
So we're hearing noises we've never heard before because we have new neighbors and they have different processes.
So if you guys have been with me for a while and you did, this is going to go back to like 2021 maybe 2022. The Morning Wishes painting where we had the bubbles. I think we've had other paintings that have had bubbles. This is very similar to what we did where we kind of shaded the edges with a watered down paint and pulled it inward just a bit. So then rather than getting a really stark illustrated looking outline, you have more of a shaded look.
Oh, that's their...
Oh, their alarm. Okay.
Yeah.
Goes on for a while.
A minute, probably.
Well, that was maybe a little too much. Orange back in there. Yeah. And now I'm going to turn my canvas upside down and do the same thing. So I'm going to use the thin edge of my brush, wipe it off, and you can kind of pull that wet color inward. But here's the deal. You want to use very, very little paint on your brush. If you use too much, then you end up with you're pulling too much color inward and it just ends up being way too dark. If that happens, let it dry and then come back in with a little orange and just sort of touch up the edges, bringing the orange into the dark color just a bit. But if you do it right, if you use just very little paint and have it nicely watered down, go a little at a time, just knowing you can add more. It's harder to take away. You'll have a much easier time. Trust me. There we go. I'm with you on that, Joanna. Joanna says she doesn't love our new ghost.
It's taking some getting used to.
Yeah, the other day we had, it's a mechanic and they're...
We found out that the two spaces are not very airtight sealed after he started an old 1970s Chevy pickup and let it warm up. Meanwhile, it sucked all the exhaust into my space.
Yeah.
But we think we got that fixed, so. But that was not a pleasant morning.
No, because the person thought you were like coming out swinging or something.
I'm like, dude, I'm dying over here. I'm not blaming you, but the building needs to be fixed if there's going to be a mechanic next door. And that was on my birthday, too, so I was like, kind of like, are you kidding me?
Okay. There. That's looking pretty good. Pretty good. And now we get to the curved lines. So they are, this is where you want to avoid making them straight because I start with this kind of bowed out looking one. Now these are totally optional. You can see if I left them off, it wasn't going to change this painting. Like all you can see really on mine is this top part. So if you are a little worried about doing these, I would say absolutely leave them completely off because they don't really make a difference to the end of the painting. My thought was if I had a lot of extra time, I would have done the little straight lines in between each one so it looked like a paper lantern. But I knew that we would be painting for hours if we did that. But I will add them on mine just because I need to show you guys. You want to use your smallest brush, water down the paint, pull and twist, maybe redip the tip of the bristles. And I'll start with, I'm at the center, maybe just a little bit, well, I'm pretty much right at center. So you can line it up with this, but you want to slightly curve this line. And I'm using the lightest pressure I can possibly manage. And your brush will run out of paint partway down. So using that light pressure, I get the thinnest line. And this one's going to curve out this way. Wait, meet in the center. Like that. And next one is going to be right here. Just parallel the side of the lantern, so the roundness of the lantern right here on the sides. And I'll have one right here. This one I'm going to try to parallel this line because this isn't as curved as the outside, so I'm closer to this line, so I'm going to parallel the roundness of that. But then as I'm closer to the edge, you want to try to parallel the curvature of the lantern. Pretty close anyways. A little boo-boo here, but I think a well-placed flower will be my friend here. I guess it wasn't too bad. Got a little haywire. And this one's real close to the edge. It's going to match the curvature of this outside edge of the lantern. Whew. Yeah, so I had a couple spots that got thicker, but again, I'll just place branch or flowers over the top of that. Before we add our branch, let's go ahead and highlight the end cap and the top cap. I just love the way this looks. I'll probably use my number 4 flat brush. And this is where, if you want to use your yellow ochre, you could, but I'm going to use, well, actually, I'm going to use yellow ochre because my yellow seems to be gone. So I took a little bit of this and I come along the curve here and here. And then I just use the thin edge of the brush. I'm going to come across the top. I actually need to add, this is dried up a bit, or thickened as it sat here. So I'm going to add a little water, pull some of this aside. And then I have too much paint. I'm going to wipe it off, redip the tip of the bristles. Come along the top. Or I'm sorry, yeah, come along the bottom edge of this thing. You can highlight this one too if you want. Didn't do as much highlighting on my original, but it's just going to separate these nicely. Guess I could zoom in for that. And the nice thing is if you feel like, I really overdid it, well, just mix up your bronze color and do it again. So down here, just right, think about that light shining on this metal or wood. I have one of these lanterns kind of like this, and it's got a wood base. Get that little ball there. Very simple highlighting. And now it's time to paint our branch. So I toyed around with the idea of, I looked at lots of pictures of Chinese lanterns for Lunar New Year. And some of these are beautiful glass and they have painted branches on them. And I thought, oh, this is just so gorgeous. And then I came up with the idea of actually having a branch go over the top of it and you have the flowers over the top. And I thought, it's kind of similar vibe. And just kind of like the idea of that. So that's what I went with. Your branch, let's have a look. It is going to come out here and hang down, which naturally we want our branches to go up. In this case, I just had, this branch is just it's a one of those weird ones that goes down towards the ground. And I know trees have them. You can see them once in a while. And I thought of this as a lightning bolt. So it's going to come out of the tree and then it's just going to start forking in different, you're going to have little forks and like a lightning bolt would. And then I have one over here too that just allowed me to put more flowers. This can be added later. Let's just start with this main one. And then we'll decide if we need to add this one. Oh, I have paint all over my fingers. So small brush, either your number 4 or your number 8. We're going to use this color that we just had mixed. So that was you made the orange with magenta and yellow. And then we pulled a little black in there. And I definitely want to liquefy this. So add a few drops of water. And just pull and twist your brush, redip the tip of the bristles. Decide where you want this to come out. So I think right about here is a good spot. Maybe I'll start down here and sort of curve up a bit and out. And I would, like, I'm looking at mine, I feel like I need to add a little black. It needs to be just a little bit darker. And then I'm using the thin edge of the brush. So, plum trees and cherry trees, their branches grow, like these little twiggy branches are often very curly. So I try to make my brush strokes wavy. Now you might have better luck using a round brush. So try that out or use the thin edge of this one. But I'm going to just have this branch off. And this is where I have a little bit of the wet white that's not drying, pulling up just a bit. You probably can't see it. It'll probably be more of a problem when I put the flowers on, but we'll see. Keep talking about it. So these are going to have a main branch that's a little thicker. That's this one. So I'm going to thicken it up here where it grows out of the tree. And then they just keep branching off each other. And the cool thing here, don't be nervous because you can place a flower in the right area and cover anything that doesn't look so hot. I personally added a huge amount of flowers to mine, and when I got done, I was like, oh, that's so many, and I was almost going to redo it, and I decided I would keep it and just show on the video how you can add less if you want to. I do like these coming out just a little bit further to allow the flowers to not just be right on top of the lantern. And you can add little tiny twigs, almost like thorns that come off, because that's an area you can put a little flower on. Refresh your paint with water once in a while. Okay, let's see. I actually have on my original, I have one that comes way down like this, growing pretty straight down to the ground. So let's start with this have a look at it. It might look kind of funny because it is drooping downward while everything else is growing upward. This one is just trying to reach the bamboo. They're buddies. And let's talk about colors for the flowers. So I have 3 colors going on here. I have kind of a plum purple. It's a little bit darker than lavender. Then I have a medium bubblegum pink. I believe I took this purple and added just a little more pink and white to it. Magenta and white, I should say. And then I have just the light pale pastel pink, which is just magenta and white. So those are the colors, and that helps give the little cluster of flowers some depth. So you've got, I have paint all over my hands. So you've got the darker in the back.
Is that kind of a painting night, Jenny?
You have the darker in the back, and then you go to the medium color, and then finally the lightest color on top. Now you could do pale yellow flowers, although they are going to sort of disappear over the top of the lantern.
And to be fair, you're not typically going to find pale yellow cherry blossoms like early spring.
Well, in a painting you can create your own thing. Red flowers, do whatever you want, but I'm going to go ahead and do what I designed originally. Looking at it, it needs to, the dark maybe needs to dry a little. You know what we'll do? We'll mix our color and then we'll start up here because that's nice and dry. So let's just take our biggest brush to mix. I'm going to scoot this out of the way. And we are going to make the purple. This is why I love these. I just pull the sheet off. Like, I ran out of room to mix, so I'm going to start a new sheet. So I've got that. Now scrape off a little blue, cyan, mix the two together. This is looking good. It's really close to the color I want. On the monitor, it might look kind of dark, but it's not that dark. I'm going to add now a little white to it. Just add a little white at a time because, yes, it will override that color and lighten it up really fast. Yeah, that's about right. And just get most of the paint off your brush before you wash it.
We've lost another one to sleepy time.
Oh yeah, we're at a, let's see, we're at like the 2-hour mark, but we're almost done with the last stages. So let's add a little more pink to some of this and some more white to some. Just mix on the edge, so then you get a medium tone color. We have our darkest color. We have the medium tone color. Add a little more white and pink to that. Just make it a little more vivid. And then finally, the last color will be just magenta and white to get that pale. You know what happened, Joanna? Your anti-anxiety stuff won over and made you sleepy. That's what happened. All right. There we go. Actually, these look really almost identical, so I'm going to add just more white to that. Still pretty close. I guess they're not all that close. Okay. So we're not painting actual flower shapes. This is where I want you to not overthink this because you can overthink it really easily. I'm going to use my number 8 brush. It's my favorite for doing this kind of flowering. So here's what I do. I dip my brush in the dark purple and I just do that sort of thing. So think of them like, almost like you're painting little puffs of popcorn. So I'm not like doing individual perfect leaves or petals. If you want, like that's not even perfect. If you want to do it that way, absolutely go for it. But you don't have to. If you just do little groups of dots together, it still looks like flowers without putting in a huge amount of time. But if you want to take the time, please do. So up here, I'm just gonna
Disclaimer.
I'm just gonna do a few purple. There we go. And now I'll let those dry and checking this out. I think the brown is dry, mostly dry. The white under here that we've had trouble with is still a little bit weird. So we'll see how this goes. But I guess it's so far so good. So the key here is you don't need to attach the flowers. If you just put them close to each other like this, you don't have to attach them to a branch. That's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes they'll be over a branch. I like to cluster them together so that you've got some areas where it's really dense. And like maybe here, maybe there's just a single little flower there. I need to add a little water to this. If you've got areas with single flowers, you could take a little more time to make a prettier flower, or I shouldn't say prettier, but more detailed. But mainly, I've learned over the years to just go kind of quick and think about more than shape. I'm thinking about space. I don't want to leave too much air space between flowers. So see how I'm doing like a little cluster. And I know that my lighter pink ones, they can be more detailed. They can look a little more like flowers than what I'm doing now. This is just background stuff. These are the extras in the movie. You don't really notice them, but they're there. And if they weren't there, it would look weird. Just sort of building.
Stealing my analogies.
That's right. It's a great analogy. I remember the first time I heard you use that in class, I was like, that's genius.
Well, it takes one to know one.
Okay, so I feel like I've got a good base. I could really, like looking at this, I could just keep going crazy and have little puff clusters of flower. That's what you want. You want little puff clusters. So you're not just like one flower, there's another, so they're not so spaced apart. But one of the things I have in this painting is lots of single petals that are blowing around in the wind with the snow. And I love that look, but if you don't leave it off, I won't have my feelings hurt at all. So I'm just going to take and use the thin edge of my brush and literally just do a little swipe or a dot. Make sure that they're around the flowers too on top of the lantern.
This is like a fusion of the seasons.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I wanted. So I'm ready to switch colors now. I'm going to go for this one. So that's your medium tone. Still has a slight purplish tone to it, but is definitely more pink than anything. And I'll start up here since that's where I started originally. Let me zoom in.
I'm still fighting my lantern color.
Ah. You can add a little water to your paint if needed. You guys know I do that quite a bit. And I'm just adding these on top of, maybe in addition to, so like you can have a single one out here. In and around little cluster of flowers. So as I'm doing this, I'm sort of like moving my eyes around, looking at the color balance and how much how much color is, like, I don't want to have just one cluster that's got tons of purple but no pink. So I try to balance it out. And you can see I'm definitely not painting flower shapes, but I'm painting the suggestion of flowers. Like, I hope you would look at this and know that they were flowers. I would think that you probably would. And then you can do the little random single petals in this color, a few of them here and there. Make sure you get some on top of some branches and bamboo. Maybe there's some more flowers way up in here, so they're going to be blowing petals all around. That was an aggressive brush wash. And now for the light pink. If you want to go down a brush size, so I've been using my number 8. If you want to go down to your number 4, so you have something more delicate to work with for the final lightest flowers, you can definitely do that. But we're going to use the lightest pink. How about if I start way up here? And this is where, if you want to do like a little 5-petaled thing, absolutely. You just didn't have to with those other ones. These ones are the ones that are going to stand out. So let's see, right here. I start with the one in the center, and then I do one on either side, and then one on either side on the bottom, so it's like a star. So you can even count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But more than anything, I don't want you to overthink this part. Try to keep this painting pretty loose and less detailed. That's, as you know, those of you guys who've been painting with us for a while, it's one of the things I've been working on, and I think it helps a lot doing pulse paintings. So again, keep your eyes moving as you're going, just checking out the color balance. Or here. Well, the lantern didn't end up being too much of a problem. A couple spots where, mainly when I painted the dark branch on, where it kind of scraped through the white and brought it up.
Speak for yourself.
Did you have trouble? Oh, yeah, you did have a little trouble.
No, I just kind of went more messy gloppy for the flowers.
Messy gloppy. Is that a technical term?
Yeah. Hi, Andy.
Hi.
Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the live stream. We're winding down.
We're winding down. This one took a little bit longer than we usually go. But honestly, I'm not all that surprised. I remembered this one had a few steps. Okay, I feel like I could add one right in here. And I feel like those are pretty balanced out. One thing you can do if you really want them to look, like if it's bugging you that they don't exactly look like flowers, you can use the handle end of your brush, and I like to use black when I do this, but you could use any color. And you could go through and you could stamp a dot in the center of some of these, and especially like the light pink ones. And you can make it look more like flowers. You don't have to do every single one. In fact, I wouldn't do every single one, just a select few. I didn't do that on the original, but I did want to show that. And one thing I forgot to do, I forgot to add little light pink petals blowing around. Oh, got a smeared star there. A flower petal over it. I really love this part up here. I love that branch. Thanks, Van Gogh, for the tip. That's why it is really important to sometimes take the time to actually replicate a master's painting. You learn so much. And when I was young and in college, and our teacher kept telling us to do that, it was like, no, what? I want to be creative. I don't want to replicate some old dead painter's painting. And then as an adult, it took me maturing. And I did that. I replicated Van Gogh's Starry Night. And I was like, okay, I get it now, all these years later. Many, many years later. I get it. Okay, so I'm going to sign my painting now. Oh, no, I'm going to do one more thing. Snow on these branches. I just looked over and I have that. And the other thing, too, is if you want to add this extra little branch right here, you can. It's completely unnecessary, and I kind of like it without it. Plus, we are at 2 hours already, oh yeah, you love painting flowers and birds. Me too. Those are so fun. I love birds, and they're just there's so many of them. Same with flowers. So many flowers, so many birds. Oh, I need to real quick add a dots up there. Okay. Snow on the branch. So right here, just if you have some of that light blue left over, like I've got just a little bit over here. Very, very small amount of paint. There's hardly any on here. In fact, I'm going to wipe more off. And just come along here. It would collect in this little crook of the branch here. And I don't really think anywhere else is really going to sit too much. I think I'm just going to get it right there. Most of these are kind of too vertical. And then I'm going to sign the painting. Pick a color, any color. Let's see. I'll do light blue.
Do it. Do it now. Sign it.
I'm doing it. Okay. You done with yours?
Yeah. My flowers are a completely different animal than your flowers.
That's okay.
No, I mean, I was intending to do them more this way.
Do you want to do a split screen?
No, let's put them next to each other.
Okay.
I think that looks better.
Da, 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 da. Paul's is like serious Van Gogh texture. He has really thick flowers. Like if I tilt this, there you go. Look at that.
Well, that was the only way. I had a major slurry. And that was the only way I was going to get anything to stick.
Yeah. So you can see our painting styles are so different. And that is really good with us both teaching classes, because you get really loose painting from Paul. And then with me, I tend to maybe over detail stuff. And I think the combination of the two is really good. So if you can combine these two together, then yeah, I love it.
Andy says, whoa, didn't expect it to be like that. Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, no, Andy, you kind of came in later in the thing, and both Jenny and I were fighting. The white that we used was really thick and didn't want to dry.
The lantern. So yeah, you've got a little muddiness going on there.
Yeah, and so I was really battling the thickness of that, and so I did want to do the flowers a little bit more sloppy.
Yeah.
But they just really.
Yeah, it is not Paul's style, but you are definitely more wispy and flurry usually.
Yeah.
But cool.
So
it's fun.
Let's bring it back.
And for those on here, next week, same time, same place, we are doing Crocus Pocus. So that's what we'll be painting.
Crocus Pocus.
Yay!
Yay! This is like the anti-color painting.
Yeah, but you can add a lot more magenta and red up in there. I think it would look good.
I mean, you could even add like bits of it up in here. Like there's maybe a little stand of crocus, whatever.
We both wanted snow, I guess, for February. But
Well, and it's weird because I don't usually do snow, and I did 2 snow paintings in a row.
I think both of us, our birthdays are in February. Those of you who tuned in earlier knew that. 9th and 13th, so we just had our birthdays. But growing up, we almost always had snow on our birthdays.
I think you were born during a snowstorm.
I was born during a snowstorm, and
I was
so
born during the slushy melt-off stage of that.
yes. And I always think of February as having some snow still. Plus, I'm not usually ready to just have, like, I love winter. I'm one of those weirdos. I actually love winter. I know some of you guys do too. And so I'm not usually ready to just go, Christmas is over, boom, spring, here we go. So I do like to extend some of the snowy stuff. And I thought with this one, it was a good, like Paul said, a combination of the different seasons going on in there. Because we do have spring, we've got snow, we've got the Lunar New Year. So yeah, it was a fun one.
I like seeing the Wagners bringing out my my nickname.
Yeah,
I don't
thanks,
use. I
guys,
haven't
for
used that
joining.
on GoBox much, but yeah.
Shilly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that used to be like definitely.
that's a shilly. That's it.
Used to sign them that way. But anyway, so that was fun tonight, you guys, and it's getting chilly in here.
It's getting chilly. We have a live class tomorrow at the Sherwood Arts Center, so we'll be busy doing that, and then we'll be back here on Friday next week to Crocus Pocus with y'all.
We're gonna bust it out.
All right.
So, all right.
You've got the.
I do have
You've
the
got
mouse.
the deal.
Well, I can fade us out first. Let me get cool.
Thanks for joining.
situated.
It was fun. Nice big group. Love it. Let's do it again next week. Same time, same place.
All right, we're gonna fade out.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.